The long-awaited return of a podcast nobody remembers nor cared about. The Click Clack Report is back. I'm Gamecock Central Multimedia Specialist Jeff Tyner. We'll be joined by Aaron Weiss. Oh, this ain't your mama's Gamecock podcast. There's not going to be a lot of X's and O's here. This is going to be two guys talking about how this team is perceived. We got a little bit of some Hollywood magic. What are Will Muschamp's favorite kind of movies? Who knows? I bet you might want to know. We do. Ellis Johnson bringing that floppy hat back to Columbia. There's just so much to be excited about, and we're going to talk about it. So without further ado, it's the Click Clack Report return. Let's go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Click Clack Report. This is an official Click Clack Report episode, are we right?
It's official, yeah.
Official.
Resuscitated.
Officially. We're back, as it was low those many years ago. It's now we're coming on multiple years now.
Yeah.
We're coming on because what? When do we? No, you know it's past multiple years now.
It's 2 years. I think.
2 years. Yeah.
Wow.
How about that?
It's a very different world.
It's very different
for Gamecocks since the last podcast.
We were
riding high.
Our last podcast was before the 2014 season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the summer before.
Yeah.
No, summer before the 2013 season.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What?
Because it was before I started working for Gamecock Central.
That's right. There you go. I mean, yeah, you want to talk about really radically different.
A completely different world. It's like we emerged from the vault.
Yeah.
And there is a wasteland among us.
Yeah. We came out of there and turns out, it's not as good as it was before. But, I mean, I guess there is now, officially a reason for...
The next chapter has at least started.
There you go. Next chapter has started. They've turned the page. I don't know what that page is actually looking like. But it is a page.
It's a debatable page, but I think all associated will agree that it's a different page.
An absolutely different page.
It's not the same copy of the page. You're not turning and go, hey, what bozo printed two of the same pages?
I'll say this. It's definitely an interesting page.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about this, is that, now we're coming on third coach in a row where bit of a goofy fella. In his own way.
Yeah.
He's definitely his own man.
He is a totally different brand of goofy from Steve Spurrier and Lou Holtz.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Please sit down. I promised everybody $1 if you'd stand up when I walked up here. I didn't bring that many dollars, so.
But we are fresh. We just rewatched the introductory presser, and he's just himself. And it's not like we both like his voice. We both think his voice is definitely distinct.
Very much so.
It's hard to pinpoint why. Like, it's hard to pinpoint when. I mean, of course, everybody knows him as a kind of a bit of a crazy guy on the sidelines or whatever, very emotional. He's quite an angry fellow on the sidelines. And then, he's kind of just this, typical kind of slightly dopey, just regular guy. Acknowledges that he's a blue-collar man.
He does want you to know that. I don't know, he strikes me like his voice sounds almost like he sounded that exact same way in high school.
Ooh, yeah. I get exactly what you're talking about.
Like he's only sounded, it's just I don't know, I picture that guy in Varsity Blues. I picture Will Muschamp in Varsity Blues. Even though he's from Georgia, like he would have been in that movie.
Yeah, he would have been he would have been one of those guys.
He wouldn't actually have played on the same team as James Vanderbeek. But
oh heavens, no! He's like
they would have been.
He would have been the guy on the other team who
He would have been on defense naturally.
Naturally on defense. I could see him being like a slow white cornerback.
Well, was he a DB or was Kirby Smart the DB? We were just talking about how he and Kirby Smart are nearly identical. It's creepy.
It is. It's very weird. I would say that Kirby Smart. He has a much more...
We're looking at like a Citizen Kane propaganda photo from his press conference.
It's looking up at him like he is Jesus Christ.
He's thinking really hard.
Yeah. It's a very inspiring photo right there.
I picture the Georgia athletic offices having long banners now.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Let's say smart. Let's say think smart.
Think smart.
And then this picture, this oil painting resides over the all of the athletics.
God, what is it about the haircut though? He's got that haircut.
They both have X
They both
factor
have that
haircuts.
That
make them
haircut.
that make them seem much older than they actually are.
Right? Will Muschamp's only 44.
Right?
44.
He's a young coach.
Plum young. And but if you had asked me, before I found out he was 44, how old I thought Will Muschamp is, I was at 53.
And I'm pretty sure Kirby Smart's like 39.
39.
And it's crazy.
Such an old-looking 39.
He's a very old.
Looks at least 46.
It's a dad haircut, for one. They both have dad haircuts, which
True.
they're of dad age.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's the particular type of like, he's just, just that sort of regular guy, looks like he could,
You'd see these guys at a Lowe's on a Saturday. If they weren't football coaches, they'd be do-it-yourselfers. They'd be getting it done.
Totally, absolutely. And he's definitely the guy, likes to go fishing. Mm-hmm. Has his own pontoon boat, probably. Lord knows he's lucky for that.
Yeah.
But then you look at him, and yet Will Muschamp's got the crazy in the eyes.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the major X factor. He's got crazy.
Kirby Smart seems to have less of a personality, but I say that as an uneducated Alabama watcher.
I mean, I can't say. Yeah, I really can't.
I don't watch it but obviously we all did a little research on him when he was the number one candidate or the 1B.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just doesn't. I'll say that Muschamp's got charisma, and like I said, outgoing charisma. Yeah. Naturally outgoing charisma. Like, it doesn't seem like he's trying too hard either. It just seems like you really believe that's just him.
Yeah, that's why where some of the stuff in the press conference you could tell, talking about the school, just in terms of saying that how he wanted to win the state back, basically in terms of recruiting and all that. You could tell I think he's not just taking his job just because it was offered to him.
Yeah,
he definitely has a real strong.
He said that he had heard from some other teams too. I would be very curious who. Because, there were a billion openings.
Yeah, and I never really heard his name attached to anybody else.
But I think it's I think it's as good as it can be.
As good as it can be. Forget that Jack Nooks movie, as good as it gets. It's as good as it can be.
If they wanted to go into a little Fockers area for the sequel, they could do that. Skew the title a little bit.
All right, now look, Fokker. I'm a patient man. That's what 19 months in a Vietnamese prison camp will do to you.
But so Muschamp, that's Muschamp. How do we feel about his assistants already coming over? Basically, two guys he's worked with before.
Once again, I don't know of Bobby Bentley as well as our people from the upstate and Midlands.
Bobby Bentley.
Let's put it this way. Since you're an out-of-stater.
I am an out-of-stater.
I'll give you what little bit that I know of Bobby Bentley, and that was he was the head coach of Burns during the time, I'm assuming when Marcus Lattimore, I think his last season was like 2012. So that would have definitely overlapped with Marcus Lattimore, but around that time, dude, Burns, only hearing about them being a low country kid, you'd still hear about Burns a good bit. When a school from South Carolina is on ESPN, it was usually Burns. They won him a lot.
You could tell me that if it was just Marcus Lattimore's high school, I'd be like, oh, that team that probably won a lot of games.
Before Marcus Lattimore, and they haven't had a ton of successful college prospects, but Willie Korn, I don't know if you remember that name. I was a little bit before your time.
I feel like I would remember the name Willie Korn.
He was your Jason Street. I think it was 5-star at one time, and then eventually downgraded to a 4. He was the same year as Steven Garcia. That was the big deal. Each school got a hotshot quarterback.
Pop quiz, hot shot. There's a bomb on a bus.
And he fizzled out. So Lattimore is far and away one of their better guys. But yeah, Bobby Bentley's supposed to be a big deal. He's running back coach. I don't think he was a position coach at Auburn. But
is it offensive associate?
Yeah, one of those weird staff positions. But yeah, he should, I would imagine, be a solid recruiter. He's got a lot of pull.
That means huge. Muschamp really does seem to be. Even before he was hired, he was obsessed with finding the guys associated with South Carolina. He found it. Mm-hmm. Went and talked to Marcus a few days before he was hired.
Yeah, which was a good move.
Definitely a good move there. And he seems to have a genuine affection or an attraction for the state and wanting to do things here.
And people like him. He's got a real camp of coaches that really respect him and like him. The defensive coordinator, T-Rob, I really don't know much about him at all, but I have since learned of his reputation as a recruiter, and that should get everyone excited. Because we haven't seen good recruiting in a long time, and most of that was just a product of kids being in state. And there's also talk of Ellis Johnson. People in state love him too.
Coming on back, Ellis Johnson. Bring that big old hat of his back.
Oh, I've missed that hat.
That hat.
They had big floppy ones in his absence, but just they weren't to the same proportion as his.
That hat was like I don't even know where to begin with it. It pretty much was his own parachute. It was like a sombrero except flattened out.
It was
like if you flattened out a sombrero.
It was like Charles from Brooklyn Nine-Nine's fishing hat stretched out.
Just really, gotta get a lot of coverage. He burns easy.
He's out there a lot. He burns easy.
Burns easy.
He's an old man.
Well, Muschamp, what do we expect really, from him, going forward? Because just sort of as a personality wise, because now, obviously, right now he's going through what every head coach goes through, where they meet the fan base and stuff like that, and they act civilized in a certain manner. So
are you saying what happens when he starts losing games?
When's his first bungle going to happen? When is he going to screw up, and how do we expect?
Do you think to screw up? Are you asking how? Why is everyone going to be mad at him, or how is he going to handle people being mad at him? Because people are totally going to get mad at him, whether it's at his fault or not.
Yeah, when's the first time that we see him do something in a practice or hear a certain story about him, and we're just like, huh, it's kind of weird.
I'd say spring practice. I'll say that. If it's just
around the game.
if what we're saying is if you read it and you go, huh, I think that's going to happen pretty quick with Will Muschamp, and that's not necessarily a good or a bad thing. That's just it's gonna be a lot different than the Spurrier. The Spurrier thing was getting really stale towards the end, and whether you're pro or anti Spurrier, he had a success, and that was in the rearview mirror, and things were just stale. They were boring. Things are not going to be boring, no matter what.
Definitely, always harder to take a personality when there's losing.
As opposed to winning, and it's even if Carolina, and I've heard one person say, if they're 6-6, that should be an accomplishment, and everyone should be pleased with that. So let's say he finishes below that, which wouldn't be a stretch. Let's say they go, 5-7.
Yeah. I feel like, man, this.
It will still. I'm saying it would still be. It would have to be more enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, sure.
Even on
defense, at least. Yeah, my God.
Just because I don't think
on offense, actually.
Because I don't think it's going to take a lot for it to be that much more enjoyable. Because I don't think he's going to put together some top 10 class before signing day, but all he has to do is sign one or two awesome prospects that would have never gone to Carolina otherwise, and that's success. And I think that's a very reasonable, really just if he can get one elite prospect, just one difference maker,
get a playmaker,
preferably on defense.
That's the thing we missed all season was just a playmaker,
on both sides of the ball, or even on one, just.
And I mean, look. I know everyone's always saying get the ball in the Farrell's hands, but look, man, running Farrell in the backfield just didn't work. Didn't work. He's a good receiver. He's a guy
great receiver
who can make plays happen after he gets the ball thrown.
The fact that he almost had 1,000 yards receiving with the quarterback situation is nothing short of amazing.
With Perry Orth literally throwing under 2,000 yards.
God bless the kid.
God bless him. I just kind of wanted to check the rankings. I couldn't believe it. Both in passing yards and rushing yards, South Carolina 86th in the nation, in both individually.
That's pretty impressive.
How weird is that?
that sums it up perfectly. They were just blah.
I mean, as much
86th, as bad as that sounds, nowadays there's still 40 teams below you.
40 teams below you.
Yeah,
exactly. And I mean, the defense was in the triple ranked in the
triple. Yeah. Oh yeah. And you know what's sad? That was actually an improvement from last season. Although it's not
more brutal to watch this season. I don't know if it's because the offense last year was better.
I think it definitely looked more brutal because you had. I always say that if you could have swapped the teams with offense and defense, 2014, 2015, you would have gotten a better team than 7-6 in 2014. Because as bad as things have been these past two seasons, they've lost a lot of close games that they've
Yeah,
won in the past. Like,
it's true.
they didn't have to be that much better to win a lot more games over the past 20-something. But,
I mean, freaking the Florida game, for crying out loud. Could have beat Florida.
ugh, don't even get me started. But, yeah, I mean, what we're talking about, just things will be different. I think the things are going to be a lot more enjoyable to watch, and not a ton has to happen in the meantime for that to happen.
Just if they just improve just in a normal progression way.
Just
from one season to another in ways that teams are supposed to.
Just in discipline and effort alone, I feel like that would already make things look better.
And definitely excitement. I mean, where they have to be psychologically already is totally
then
different.
There's plenty to be excited about. All you got to do is hold on to Brandon McIlwain, and you have a quarterback that gets people excited.
Boom.
And like you said, he's got a 4-star receiver coming in. If you hold on to them, it's just like you only have to add a couple more pieces for it to be exciting. For like there to be I always point to Stephon Gilmore as like one of the first recruits that was just you can't wait to see him on campus. Like I know the 2007 class was really good, and that laid the foundation for those teams to be really good in the future. Stephon Gilmore was a kid that South Carolina would have never gotten in the past, and that was I just remember being super psyched, more so than like an Alshon or anybody. I was so psyched to see him, and then a Lattimore, so psyched to see a Lattimore, and I think he can pull one or two kids that would have at least the potential to be like a playmaker you can lean on and like just give you something to be excited about.
Do you think there's anybody coming in from that class this year?
I have no idea who he's going to be able to flip. You know, he might get Marlon character back. Who knows? Chris and Wes are the recruiting guys, and there hasn't even been South Carolina recruiting for the past however many months, and that's been really disorienting, especially for us in the Rivals family. You're used to football recruiting taking up such a huge portion of what you pay attention to with football. Yeah. That kind of got taken away. It's really weird. I feel rusty. I'm sure a lot of people feel rusty, but it's going to be exciting just to see. He's got a reputation for flipping committed prospects.
I feel like he's,
and it's just, I feel like Carolina's finally gotten with the times.
Yeah.
And they didn't recruit terribly. They're a better team than their record, obviously, but last year's class had some pretty good signees. You know, they had a lot of 4 stars. If you subscribe to Stars, not the channel, the philosophy, if you will. But yeah, I think they're better off than a lot of people think when you lose to the Citadel and you're 3-9. And everything looks like a dumpster fire. It looks so bad, but I'm not saying it's great. I just don't think it's that bad. Yeah. I don't think it's as bad, and with Muschamp coming too, a lot of people aren't psyched about that. I wasn't psyched, but
I'm still not really that psyched. But
that's totally fine. You know, he hasn't done anything either way. His first real checkpoint is signing day.
Yeah,
and that should be one of his stronger areas. So he should be able to enter spring practice with momentum, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, I haven't even looked at the schedule for next season.
I know it starts with ECU, if I'm not mistaken, or is it Vanderbilt? I don't know.
McMuffin McNeil is no longer at ECU.
So dumb. Oh,
McMuffin, where have you gone?
McMuffin. That was dumb.
So they actually opened with Vanderbilt September 1st. Right? September 1st.
Thursday night. Life in the fast lane.
Life in the fast lane. Surely make you lose your mind.
Then at Mississippi State, so back-to-back away games. Then East Carolina at home.
The McMuffin-less East Carolina.
Man,
I feel like McMuffin should have gone to Missouri. That seems like that would have been. He seemed like he would have been good for them.
Yeah, totally. Is Missouri hired their coach yet?
Yeah, I forget who it was. A coordinator from. Yeah, I should know this.
Great radio. Let's just look it up right now. But then after ECU, they're back on the road. Barry Odom
is that?
Oh, Barry Odom, another God. What's with all these SEC coaches going back to their alma maters?
Oh, he was a defensive coordinator.
He played at Missouri too.
Okay,
as a middle linebacker. No, he's still actually. It looks like they're going with him through the season. He's actually from defensive coordinator in Missouri.
I don't know why I thought he was.
Prior to Missouri, he was defensive coordinator in Memphis for 3 years.
Interesting.
And then a coach in Missouri for as a graduate assistant.
People, I mean, when it's the alma mater, that's pretty huge. Like,
while we're talking about our head coaching changes going on, and by our, of course, I mean University of South Carolina, which you're not affiliated with in any way, shape, or form.
nope.
Definitely not. A lot of, I mean, like the head coaching changes have really occupied this entire season. Obviously South Carolina experienced it firsthand, but our alma mater, Dino Babers, he's at Syracuse now.
Yeah, I saw that.
Really a quick jump because this is his first season at Bowling Green.
Yeah, I mean, God,
And produced Matt Johnson.
Bowling Green. Matty Johnson wasn't bad last year, but he was not baller status. I guarantee
He balled out. He balled pretty hard. He could use another season of balling.
Yeah, but can you believe, like, if someone would have made you the offer for Matty Johnson before the season started at Carolina, would you have taken that? No one. You would have been like, Connor Mitch is going to go the distance. And
Connor Mitch, he's going to go the distance, lead us to the SEC title.
he's going to throw for 4,000 yards.
Oh, my God.
And you wouldn't have got, like...
What's really going to happen with Mitch if McElwain sticks around?
I don't know a ton about Roper's offense, except for, it's a spread. But I've heard it's a lot of running. It's running intensive. Which out the gate, you're going to think Nunez...
Muschamp said it's going to be a spread offense.
Well, yeah, but spread. There's a difference between a power run spread and a air raid spread.
Sure.
So Mitch is more athletic than you'd think, but I don't think he would excel there. You got to wonder if he'd transfer.
It's getting crowded. I mean, like with him, Nunez, and McElwain.
I mean, I just feel like Nunez and McElwain are going to have the leg up.
Yeah.
And even Perry Orth would be a good backup. He shouldn't be your starter, but like he's more athletic than you'd think. Like he's
ran a lot.
He physically kind of looks like Brandon McElwain before you cut before you hit play and their speed.
Actually, before.
But I thought he made the best of his situation this year.
Dude, did you go from a walk-on to actually start?
Yeah, like
for the majority of the season.
Yeah, he was incredibly inconsistent, but he got hot. He got hot on a few drives.
For 3 T's against Clemson.
Yeah, that's not nothing,
bruh. That's not nothing.
That's not nothing. Is all I'm saying.
He didn't make half of his the passes in general. I mean, went 12 for 29 that game. But
he
still.
did, but I think it was 14 for 29. That's weird that I thought that.
Our man Skarnecki.
Oh, the final pass of the Spurrier. His only pass is the final pass of the Spurrier area. You can't beat that.
Crazy. Just crazy thing about it.
Lucy.
Our dog is very rambunctious.
Oh, Louie.
Well, I mean, really, let's get back at the matter at hand. Muschamp, X's and O's. Who freaking cares? Who freaking cares about playbooks? Who freaking cares about college football? I'm talking about movies. I want to talk about Hollywood. Talk about Will Muschamp's Hollywood. Hollywood, South Carolina brings you Will Muschamp.
I would go to Will Muschamp's Hollywood Cafe.
Absolutely.
I would 100% go there.
I bet his favorite movies are like World War II movies and other.
He's a documentary guy.
I can see. Oh yeah, he definitely watches a lot of History Channel.
He watches, but The Replacements. Mm-hmm. He's a big Hoosiers guy, I bet.
Big Hoosiers.
Like when he wants to lighten things up, he'll watch either The Waterboy or The Replacements. And when he's feeling deep and mournful maybe, or just a little serious, he'll watch Hoosiers. He'll fast forward just to only the football parts of any given Sunday.
Natch.
Or The Longest Day with Sean Connery. World War II, like we said.
Yeah. Well, do you think that... I was about to ask you, do you think that's his favorite war movie? What's his favorite war movie, do you think?
I'm thinking We Were Soldiers with Mel Gibson, because I feel like, take all the racism out of it, and I feel like he identifies
and the weird Catholicism.
Yeah, I feel like he identifies with Mel Gibson as like a leader.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like those his favorite war movies are where he identifies with the commanding officer, the captain or what have you.
Do you think he's a bigger fan of We Were Soldiers or The Patriot?
You know what? You outsmarted me. Because it's The Patriot. Mel Gibson's much more of a leader in that.
Yeah.
He's got a ragtag crew.
Alright, so if we're going to the Mel Gibson, one round knockout sort of thing, knockout tourney here, got Patriot for him, but then Braveheart again, a leader,
Love it.
actually Academy Award nominated film.
Yeah.
like actually,
That's the original one.
That's the original.
If you're gonna,
Yeah.
I think I got a real excitement for when you said other Mel Gibson movies. Who is his Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon?
Tell you, it's not going to be. It's not going to be Whammy Award.
It's not going to be Whammy. I guess for argument's sake, since he's only made a few hires, probably going to be his D coordinator,
Yeah.
T-Rob. I don't know
Yeah,
enough
you're
about
right.
him for a good Danny Glover.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, unless
I
it's
think
like
G.A.
really-
Mangus would be a great Danny Glover for him. If he hung around.
Yeah, I wish he would. He's not going to. I wish.
But then again, that implies that they're both. Yeah, I guess.
How about-
GA's not laid back. Like he's too laid back to be Danny.
Let me put you this.
Danny Glover's a little more uptight.
Danny Glover.
I'm getting too old for this.
Wearing the Ellis Johnson hat.
You got to the Ellis Johnson point at the exact same time. Ellis Johnson's as Danny Glover because he's
Yeah.
older.
Yep.
He's gonna say, "I'm getting too old for this shit." And I guarantee you, somewhere, Ellis Johnson's got a hand cannon revolver like Danny Glover. And when he goes shooting at the range, he says it's just been revoked on the
Every time.
last set of every trip.
Just mumbles it to himself.
Yeah. Actually, he says he screams it because he's got the giant headphones on.
So he can hear it himself.
Yeah,
he wants to hear
say himself.
He wants to hear himself say it.
And his earmuffs are just as comically large as his hat.
And of course, Ellis Johnson's favorite movies, Clint Eastwood movies.
Ooh,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's a big Clint Eastwood fan.
Absolutely. He's got the definitive collection on DVD, Blu-ray, VHS, reel-to-reel, the whole shebang.
Reel to reel.
He's an older guy.
Laserdisc.
He's an older guy.
Did they release a Clint Eastwood collection that
knows
early?
the guy.
For real? He knows the guy who, and he told the guy, make me a reel to reel.
He moonlighted as a projectionist at a theater, I'm sure, in his long storied career.
at a moving picture show house.
Yeah, he was around with
Picture house?
talkies. It was a big deal.
Has Ellis Johnson ever worn a newsboy cap and knickerbockers?
The answer is yes. Of course. He is era appropriate.
Very era appropriate. Because what? He's what? 82?
We're gonna. We can't burn a potential Ellis Johnson bridge.
What are we gonna do if we met Ellis Johnson? What would happen if you met Ellis Johnson? He literally, it's you, it's him. You've made eye contact. There's no going back. You gotta say something to Ellis Johnson.
I'm sorry. Do I apologize for all of this?
Now, this is going under the bold presumption that Ellis Johnson, A, knows what podcasts are, going one step backwards, knows what the internet is, going one step backwards, knows what computers are, going one step backwards, knows what a projected image from the screen is, other than the ones he saw at the picture house they worked at in 1932.
He works at a university. I'm pretty sure Auburn had some flat screen TVs, and he was like, whoa, let's take a step back because my office has a tube TV. What's going on here?
Can you imagine him working with the tablets in the NFL? Like they all do that now. And like, imagine Ellis Johnson being given a tablet and saying, "Here, that's
with
what
no
you do
instruction,
play."
with no further instruction.
No, he's not. First of all, he's
He
not
would
gonna
break
talk-
it 3-hole punching it for his binder.
He would crack straight through the prongs, just going.
Couldn't do it. He'd be on his fifth one before the first game.
Well, look, we got to this type of conversation because we were talking about Hollywood and Will Muschamp.
Wow, it took us that long.
We went on a real.
We're saying who his Danny Glover would be, and I think Ellis Johnson.
Definitely Ellis Johnson.
Clearly the Danny Glover.
Yeah, definitely, and then because we won the Mel Gibson tirade there, for the tournament. Getting back to it, if Will Muschamp was a character in a film that was going to be based on a true story, who would play Will Muschamp?
Who did we talk about earlier?
I said Rob Wiggle. Rob Wiggle. But this was a comedy thing. If it was comedy,
Yeah.
I think Rob Riggle is the easy shoe-in.
Well, I've always thought that he has a striking resemblance to someone in Kyle Chandler's family.
Yes.
He brings a lot of Coach Taylor isms.
Well, I was actually going to say when we were talking about Kirby Smart earlier, is that Kirby Smart looks a lot like Coach Taylor. He really is.
And since they're identical twins,
It makes sense. Get
Yeah.
somebody both in the family.
yeah, both in the family.
It's a family affair. Kirby Smart and Will Muschamp, brothers. Secret
Different
brothers?
different sidelines would be the show. Because they'd be brothers that coach against each other.
Naturally.
Man, I thought I had a good one earlier, and it's making me mad now.
We half joked. We said Timothy Oliphant would be.
Timothy Oliphant would be when Will Muschamp daydreams about himself.
Absolutely.
It would be
Oh,
played
yeah.
by Timothy Oliphant. And that brought me to, while I don't think Will Muschamp is fat, I think a shrunken down Chris Farley could do a great Will Muschamp.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Something about the raspy and like the tone of the voice. I just feel like I just see a lot. I hear a lot of Chris Farley.
And really
Will
just
Muschamp.
see how his face shakes when he yells at referees. Just like just
The yelling. I think it's the crazy eyes too. Like any GIF you find of Will Muschamp being crazy, Chris Farley could 1,000,000% pull that off.
Absolutely, because he's the ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
That's the other factor about Muschamp is that he's a guy where, he's not animated when you really like you're talking with him or anything like that. But man, when he explodes, and it is hilarious.
I imagine now that he's like a rich guy, that every house he's moved into has like a padded screening room that he can just go in and like. I mean, his wife obviously knows who he is these days.
Yeah.
It's just like it's always in the plans.
She insisted on it.
Yeah, and he just there's like those self-defense dummies that you practice karate on with all of his like previous employers' faces on it or something. And he's just karate. But yeah, is that all I have on the Muschamp era?
Muschamp era. I think that's the only thing we plan to talk about, anyways. I guess I'm excited, just like feeling why.
It's just no matter what your opinion is on Will Muschamp, this is something different,
Yeah,
and I think everyone is excited to see that.
and I was going to be optimistic, unless it was a truly horrific coaching decision, which it looked like for a second. Muschamp, I really felt like Muschamp was going to be a horrific decision.
I'll take Will Muschamp any day over Rich Rod.
I can't believe Rich Rod was an actual interview. I really can't believe that they actually
I
did an
don't
interview.
question an interview as much because like Arizona's is in under a decent direction under him, but
Fine.
I just don't see any value in bringing him over here.
No.
If it was West Virginia Rich Rod, I would be psyched for
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Pat White and Steve Slayton.
Yeah.
I'd take some of that. I'd take me a Steve Slayton, but
Steve Slayton, one of the original like 15 Houston Texans running backs that had a great season and then vanished.
1 year and vanished.
1 year and vanished.
Yeah, but then he really knocked Michigan off whatever shelf they were on.
Yeah, really. I mean, people forget like Brady Hoke is recent memory, but Rich Rod really started dragging that down. Drug down hard.
He was in quicksand and drug everyone down with him.
Yeah. God, it's weird how that happens to teams where it's just like no matter where you are in the standings, no matter how high up you are, it literally could just happen.
It just happens.
It just happens where it's just one bad year recruiting or injuries or just bad coaching.
Miami is
Miami has been is peaks and valleys like
are
nonstop.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievably low, unbelievably high.
Like to the point where like the program's almost dead, and then it bounces back, and then it's collapsing again.
10,000 people go to football games, and we're talking about
Talking about the U.
some of the best 30 for 30s in existence.
What do you think about Rick to Miami? I like it. I love it.
I like that it's in the ACC. I think he's got a lot. I would have taken him as Carolina's coach. A lot of people wouldn't. I would have been totally pleased with that. And in that recruiting area,
He's going to wreck.
he's gonna wreck.
You want to talk about the comeback Miami? Man, even
And like that would be cool. That would just be
And
cool.
he's going to have like Brad Kaya to build.
Yeah, it would be really cool to see Miami because I think college football is a better place when Miami is good at football.
Absolutely.
And to see him at the helm, and you don't have to see him in division every year.
Yeah.
I've always, as much as I have not liked Georgia when I was like a hardcore fan, like I've never not liked Mark Richt, which is something.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other coaches I have heavy negative opinions of, but he seems like a decent dude.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't. I don't know. I read a lot into vibes and auras, and I don't know. Some about him just I don't know, throws me off. But I think he's a great coach. I can't deny the records. Can't deny the recruiting. I think Miami's definitely going to.
And I mean, in a lot of ways, Georgia is Miami. It's fertile recruiting territory and weak division. Can't. That's a good combination.
If nothing else, we should be rooting for them to destroy Clemson in the ACC.
Agreed.
North Carolina, Miami beating up on Clemson again. God, Clemson is going to. I don't know how this Oklahoma game is going to go. They're not winning the national championship, right? Is that crazy? I really just don't see that.
Let's put it this way: if they do, there's no arguing.
There's no. It's like, all right, well, okay,
as much as I can't stand Ohio State when they won last year, I was like, well,
they did it.
You beat Alabama.
You beat
with a third string quarterback.
You beat Alabama.
Yeah.
All right.
Then it works. Cool. So like you would obviously like to see more teams get into the playoffs, but we'll take what we can get, and it's at least definitive answers. And I think that's a pretty solid Final Four. Like I'm excited to see. I think Oklahoma and Michigan State are good 3s and 4s.
Definitely. So I'm just looking one more time at just some of these coaching changes. Otherwise, not a ton of exciting stuff. Justin Fuente, who was a brief candidate, now at Virginia Tech. Weird how that fell off. Really, I guess it really kind of after Memphis lost that first game.
Well, I don't think it's so much as like they didn't like Fuente as much as they chose to really go in the Herman direction, and they chose to really like Kirby Smart too. And I think they really believed, and a lot of people did, that they would get one of those two people.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure around that same time, Virginia Tech wisely made him one of their top priorities, I assume. Didn't hear their names and many others, but yeah, I think that was a good match for them. I think college football's a better place, and Virginia Tech's good at football too.
Definitely.
I remember them being like really good, especially like when them and Miami were still in the Big East.
Yeah, I mean, Virginia Tech they were really
Michael Vick, Marcus Vick, Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, man.
Marcus Vick was actually good.
Early '90s, really.
Yeah.
I mean, even they had a great run there, and it's like, it's. I hate to keep saying, talking about like the big programs and stuff like that, but big programs, they do come with the big fan bases, and they come with ratings, and they kind of, in general, what's good for the bigger programs is usually ends up being good for the little programs, but at the same time, it's like I'm really ready for like a major flip. Like if North Carolina became a good football team. Like, what's that? That never really has been a consistent thing. If that happened, that'd be great. If somebody else in the SEC was just in power for a little bit longer than a single year,
yeah, that's
that'd
true.
Be nice.
Well, see, I think the positives with like a Miami and a Virginia Tech getting better is if the ACC gets better. Dino Babber's going to Syracuse. Like, if the ACC can get good, then you don't have two teams that are a threat to go undefeated, and then a bunch of second-tier teams.
Yeah.
You would have more. A Clemson and Florida State would be in danger of losing more games because they're really not in danger of losing 6 or 7 games easy.
Gotta get some like actual real competition.
Yeah,
real.
And then the ACC will start to cannibalize itself a little bit, and that's better for college football.
Trim the fat.
Yeah,
I think it's great that the American Athletic Conference is so good
they got
this year.
great teams.
Freaking
ranked Navy. Never
ranked
in my
Navy.
life outside of NCAA.
Ranked Navy, Houston
Xbox.
back.
Houston.
And Herman with a 5-year contract. I hope he sticks around for that.
I always said that I never thought it was going to be the end of the world if Carolina didn't get Herman, but that would have sucked if he went to Georgia.
Yeah.
Or Missouri.
Yeah.
For that matter. Like, there's far worse than Carolina not getting him. If he would have gone to a division opponent, that would have not been fun.
Yeah. In terms of other conference outlooks, I mean, Big Ten, it's with undefeated Iowa getting pretty. I mean, I would say cleanly beat by Michigan State. It's just it's another conference where and this again, it's other conferences too where it's like you see these teams win a lot of games. And you just keep waiting for somebody like actually good to face them.
Yeah,
same with Clemson right now.
Yeah,
we're like we just keep waiting like Alabama.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, come on, do it. And beat Notre Dame in a monsoon against their third string quarterback.
Yeah. You want to see an opponent give them a good shot.
Yeah.
And if they win, then they win.
Yeah.
And because I think playoff games can be weird because college or pros, any team can lay an egg in a playoff game, and it's not a good game they played or whatever. And you just want to see two teams really play a good game, and then whoever wins. No onside kicks getting wrongly flagged, none of that crap, just competition. See who actually does it.
I'm always in favor of just seeing good teams play good teams. I want to see, that's why it's so exciting to see, when Houston, gets the big wins, or when, Memphis beat Ole Miss earlier this year. Just to see, little teams beat big teams. I want to see that. I want to see, because it means it's good for all of college football to see.
It's a wake-up call for the big teams, and it gives the small teams. See?
Yeah, and then if you're a recruit, it's not. Then it becomes better for NFL. So if you're a recruit, you're not just looking at the big schools because you know that you can also still get drafted.
I wish more kids. I don't know. I think you gotta think about how fearless and invincible you feel when you're 16 and 17, and I can't even imagine strapping that much talent on top of that perspective.
Yeah.
And then all these kids who go to these Power 5 schools, these Alabamas, the reason Alabama has 5 and 4-star kids on their depth chart not starting is because these kids they have confidence. They think they're going to start at Alabama. That's why they go to Alabama. They don't go to Alabama to be a third cornerback for 4 years. They go to be the starters, and you wish,
at least at some point.
Yeah. You wish these kids. I just wish more of these kids were like, you know what? I'm going to go to Kansas so I can rush for 10,000 yards, I just think that would be cool, especially when Carolina sucked, it'd be more parity, think about how many kids never get a shot at the NFL that might have been good enough if in a different opportunity, you know?
Or how you see some guys who were backups all throughout college still get drafted, and they end up being good, just because they had the tools, they just didn't.
Matt Castle all day.
Matt Castle. I wish he wasn't the biggest example. That's really hurt my point, buddy.
Yep. Or, those one-and-done quarterbacks who are backups until they're a senior and have one good year. That's always, a consistent negative.
/ any quarterback at USC. Again with the Matt Castle.
Yeah.
Any quarterback at USC.
They're not good.
Just play 1 year and just look.
Sanchez.
Freaking Matt
Barkley?
Yeah. Let's say Matt Bradford, combination of Stafford and Barkley. Matt Barkley. Why was he ever considered as a really top quarterback prospect?
Made no
It's
sense.
baffling to me.
Well, Jimmy Clausen would have been another one of those if he didn't. If he just chose to go to Notre Dame, he was still destined to be a Southern Cal quarterback.
All these gangly-eyed
white kids,
gangly-armed white kids.
John David Booty, boy.
Yeah, just I don't know how they don't have any arm strength. There's just these high school blonde golden kids, and they're like, yeah, that looks good.
Yeah.
And they don't think about the actual, talent or anything.
I think that's the Pac-12 10 thing with there's teams on the bottom that aren't that good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, Washington State, man, freaking bowl bound.
Let's do it. Let's get 7,000 passing yards. It's good for football.
It is good for football. I don't care what anybody says. I'm all in favor of offense all the time.
Offense is fun. I like defense. I like it when your team has defense.
Yeah. I don't understand why. I don't understand people who can be so just. I
think at the end of the day, you just want. At the end of the day, you want that good balance to where the touchdowns mean something too.
Sure.
You want defenses to be good enough to make it an accomplishment. You want to see points.
Give us 40 burgers though all day.
40 burgers.
40 burgers on 40 burgers.
Those are fun.
They're fun games.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
And it's not like it's not like it can go, without, some good defensive stops and stuff like that. Just have some quick drives, big plays, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
For fun. All right, you want to get a round of burgers?
Yeah, let's get out of here. Folks, thank you again for listening to this sort of bit on the haphazard side of things for this return podcast. We're definitely going to try to make this a bit more regular in the off-season like we did previously. I don't know what is about off-season and us doing podcasts. Why can't we do podcasts during the season?
Because there's less to do in the off-season.
Yeah, we have jobs.
I mean, this is like our second or third attempt at it too.
Yeah.
So we've tried and it just didn't click.
Yeah.
This has been the most clicking.
Yeah, it's just us, and again.
There's more click potential to
Look,
it.
on Gamecock Central, you can see all the experts talking on their podcasts. You can see their stuff. They got real expert opinions. Us, just talking.
Just a couple dudes.
Just Just like Rickson Lane, we're talking about whatever we want.
That's right. Shout out to Big Ricks.
I love Rickson.
Life in the fast lane.
Life in the fast lane.